Hello everybody and welcome back to the GDQ Hotfix. This is How to Train a Speedrunner. We've got a great show for you tonight. Before we get into that, just a quick reminder, GDQ 2023 is coming up May 28th through June 4th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. If you're interested in attending the event, registration's open now until May 3rd. You can go to gamesdonequick.com for more information on that. With all that said, we are here with Disney's 102 Dalmatians, Puppies to the Rescue. We're going to be learning 2 categories tonight. I'll hand it over to the runner. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi everybody, I am Passeray. This is going to be 2 different speed runs of 102 Dalmatians Puppies to the Rescue. And we're going to learn how to do those. So the categories that I'm going to be doing are all levels, out of bounds, and all puppies. So I guess the funny thing about this speedrun is that in the all levels categories, we don't save any puppies. So if saving puppies is your thing, if you see the name of the game and you say, I want to save puppies, the all puppies category is for you, but that's going to be second. First, we're going to do the all levels out of bounds category. So this one's a shorter speed run. It's 20 to 30 minutes, whereas all puppies is a little bit longer. It's 40 to 60 minutes. Out of bounds obviously has a lot of tricks, or a lot of out of bounds tricks, I should say, whereas the all puppies category has a lot fewer of those. So that's some other stuff that you can use to help you decide which kind of speedrun you want to learn here. But this is 102 Dalmatians. It was made for the live-action Disney movie that was released in 2000, and it has a completely different plot. Like, it has no relation to the movie at all, basically, except for the name, but that's okay. Cruella wants to turn our siblings into toys, and we want to stop her from doing that. So, if you have any version of this game, you can pick it up to start speedrunning it. You don't have to have a very specific version, especially for the all levels categories. It comes down to like 2 seconds either way, depending on what language you have. Technically, the fastest language is Danish, but don't worry about that so much. Just run with whatever you've got. For all puppies, it matters a little bit more, but I'll talk about that when we talk about all puppies. Let me get into some gameplay so that we can see what this game looks like. Whoops, here we go. Actually, I should probably talk about this. We have some awesome resources on the speedrun.com page as well. We have trainers that you can use for whatever version that you're running on, so that's what you're going to see me using here today. This trainer lets me skip to different tricks that I want to use. It also has modes to let you see level info, fly around, turn off walls, fun stuff like that. So really awesome to help everybody learn to run this game. And I just put us in the first level. This is Regent's Park. So before I get into what we're going to be doing in each level, I'm going to start with just some movement basics. Also to talk about the input display a little bit so that you know what you're seeing on the input display. So depending on what system you're on, this is for PS1, Dreamcast, and PC. So you're going to have different inputs, different buttons that they're called, depending on which one you're on. So I'll just refer to them by what they do. So on the input display, this is the jump button. This is the sniff button, or the interact button. This is the roll button. And this is the bark button. And you move the cameras using the bumpers. And most runners use the D-pad, although you can use the stick. There's nothing against using that. Although I have analog turned off right now, so I can't use the stick, but you can in general. So that's what all the different controls do. And there is a little bit of a difference between the controls on PC versus console. On PC, the camera does not follow you around, so you have to do most of the moving of the camera yourself. Whereas on console, if I turn around and then roll, the camera immediately snaps to where I am. So that's really the main difference between PC and console. Other than that, PC has faster load times, and it is a faster category overall, but I personally prefer the console camera, so it really is personal preference, what you like better. And just for basic movement, what you're going to want to be doing to go fast is roll. So if you see rolling dog emotes, that's why. We do a lot of rolling in this game. And so rolling is the fastest, but you can't roll forever. If you see I'm just holding the button down, I stop eventually. So you don't want to just roll and walk because that's kind of slow. What you can do though is roll and jump, so you kind of maintain some of your speed. So you don't really have to time the jumps really precisely even, because if you hold the jump button down at any time during your roll, you'll automatically jump after the roll is over. So it's really satisfying movement, and it's also not super hard to do if you get the rhythm down. And then one more basic movement thing before we get into the run is something called a slope boost. So if you jump and roll on a slope, you're gonna go faster and further than what you would do otherwise. So if I just like start here and roll down this slope, I only make it like to here. But if I do a slope boost, meaning I jump over the slope and then roll onto it, I'm gonna go a lot further. So here I almost made it to the gazebo. So you can do that anytime you see a slope. It doesn't have to be a big slope. It could even be a small slope like this one right here. I'm not going to talk about every slope boost that you can do. So as you're running, if you see a slope that's in your path, you can just go for it. So that is movement basics. And now we can start to get into some things about doing this run. And I'm actually going to back out so that you can actually see what the level select looks like, since we haven't seen that yet. The timer won't start when you select the first level. It's going to start when you get control of the puppy. So what that means is that, you know, you can start this and it's going to load into a cutscene. So you can just kind of sit around and watch the cutscene if you want, or you can skip it right away, and then that's when the timer starts. So here's the cutscene. So you can just skip this right away, and then it would start immediately, or you could wait. And so then this would be time. And there's going to be an out of bounds right in the first level, actually, which is really awesome for practice. And it's also a super accessible out of bounds. Like, you could pick this up right now and do this trick, definitely. First, though, let's do a slope boost. You can do another slope boost here. You can do another one here. So you get the idea. Oh. But you want to end up down here. And this is one of Cruella's henchmen. Also, I just grabbed a life here. If you're taking this route, you can definitely grab this life if you feel like you're going to need it. If you run out of lives a lot, or if you take extra deaths, then this is definitely a good safety life to grab. We don't actually want to get hit by him though. What we're going to be doing is heading for the wall that's right behind him. So this whole area behind him, back here, you can basically just jump over the wall and get out of bounds. So just like that, if you jump and press forward, you go over the wall and you're in the void.
Oh, wow.
Which kind of makes it look like the game is poorly put together. There's actually not that many places that it's this easy to get out of bounds. It just so happens that it's in the first level, so I don't know. Maybe their QA people didn't really focus right here. But once you're out of bounds, I'll talk a little bit about out of bounds movement now. You don't want to jump out of bounds and then just like not press anything, because if you get too low, you'll actually hit a point where it'll respawn you at the beginning. So you don't want to do that if you're trying to go fast. Luckily, you don't want to, well, you can use infinite health if you want to, but so what I do here is, like, if you just press jump to get out of bounds and then hold jump, you'll start to rise. When you're out of bounds, jumping will continuously like make you float upwards, and then rolling will make you sink downwards. So you don't want to strictly do one or the other, because if you get too high, you won't know where you are. If you get too low, you'll spawn back at the beginning. So just like inbounds movement, it's kind of a combination of like jumping and rolling. In this case, you don't have very far to go to get to the end of the level, actually. The end of the level is right in front of us there. If I jump right out of the wall right here, that 102 portal, that is our goal. So you can just hold forward on the first level and get out of bounds, and to the end. But it's also a really convenient place to practice with out of bounds movement if you're not sure, because you can see everything around you. It's not like a dark level like some of them are. And yeah, that's really the first level. Now you know how to get out of bounds in 102 Dalmatians.
It looked really easy to do.
Yes, it is. That's one of the things that really kept me going with this game, I think, is like, I wanted to do out of bounds tricks, and like you start right away and it's just like, oh wow, I'm here, like this is it, I'm out of bounds, I've done it.
Yeah.
And not all the tricks are like that. I mean, like, it goes from like as easy as that one to as complicated as like almost frame perfect. So if you start this game and you want to build up to like a really advanced level, that's possible, but it's also possible to like just get right into it and do these tricks.
Okay.
But yeah, so that was the first level. Now we're in Toy Store. Again, if you just came in, we're not actually going to be saving any puppies. because this is the all levels category, not the all puppies category, so we're just going through all the levels. We do have an any percent category. It's really short. That's why it's not a category that I'm going to do today. But before I go further, I do want to say about Toy Store, just follow, you know, where I'm going in Toy Store. There's not an out of bounds that I'm going to be doing here. The reason that we're in Toy Store is because Cruella is selling toys and failing at it. But that's like why there's a toy theme going on. If you get to like a more advanced level, you can do a clip with this bomb car, but I'm not going to be talking about that one today. After this beginner route, I am going to go through some intermediate tricks that you can add when you feel more comfortable with the beginner route. Or even right away if you want to add more out of bounds than the ones that I'm putting in. But I won't be going over the advanced tricks. And you always want to not save because that's faster. And now Piccadilly is another one where there's not going to be an out of bounds. This one, I mean, you can get out of bounds. You can get out of bounds in almost every level in some way. In this one, it's just useless because there's walls everywhere. Like, once you get out of bounds, you're just surrounded by walls and you can't do anything useful.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just taking a nice journey through Piccadilly. And in the movie, I guess they go to France and stuff. I haven't watched the movie in a long time, but that's what I remember from like reading the synopsis. In the game, they just are in England the whole time, so we're going to be visiting different parts of England. Or different fictional parts of England.
It's been so long ago since I've watched those movies, I legitimately didn't remember it was in England.
Yeah, I don't... Actually, I think I watched 101 Dalmatians recently, but I don't know the last... Like, I don't think I saw this movie since I was a kid.
I don't think I've seen it in the past 2 decades.
Yeah. Alright, I guess something quick to mention, some of the levels load into cutscenes and some of them don't, so eventually, like, when you get used to which ones do and don't, you can know, like, when to be mashing to skip the cutscene and when to not. But now we're in Big Ben. This level is notorious. This level, I have a love-hate relationship. I had a love-hate relationship with it as a kid, and I have a love-hate relationship with it now. Because it's a really platform-heavy level, and it's vertical. So you spend a lot of time going up, and if you miss a jump, you can fall all the way back down. So this one's definitely one to practice. That said, I do love the music and stuff, so I can't fully hate Big Ben. Anyways, I'm stopped here because the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do a jump over the wall here. It is a bit of a skip because what you're supposed to do is follow these arrows and go like all the way around and then over here. But we're not going to do any of that. We're just going to jump right over this wall. So actually, if you like angle yourself there and then jump and then roll, you can make it there. And that made it look easy, but I promise I still miss it sometimes. So if you get frustrated by it, like that's normal. It's also important to start practicing with this jump because there's other tight jumps that you'll have to do later in the run. So this one will kind of prepare you for that. But the general gist of it is you want to jump and then roll when you're at the top of your jump so that you get over the fence. Because if you roll too soon or if you roll too late, you won't have enough height to get over. Whoops. And there's a few different ways that you can kind of line it up. You can do like I was doing where like facing diagonal off the side here and then jumping over it. You can also, another way that I've done it is like to get the puppy all the way on the edge, I go like here and then I like jump around the wall like that. That's another way to line it up. And if you fall, it's not a huge deal because right here you can just go back up here. And if you fall all the way down, you can also just take these stairs over here again. This is just like going back to where you started. So it's not the end of the world if you fail. It's just frustrating. But that's that. That's the first room skip. Now we're in the next room. An important thing to know about Big Ben is that it is cycle based. And so there's sometimes that means that like you'll miss something small and lose a lot of time because you miss a cycle. But it also means that if you save a little bit of time, sometimes you can save a lot of time because you make an earlier cycle. So the cycle starts when you load into the level, and that includes time during the cutscene, so that's why you want to skip that cutscene as fast as possible. And if you get the earliest cycle, what you can do is, like, you'll get up here and you can jump right on here. And then you can jump over to here. And then the last part to get the earliest cycle is to get a bit of a boost off this pendulum here. And you'll know that you got the early cycle because in the next room, this piston's going to be down. And mine was off because I didn't start with the original cycle. But if this piston's down and you're able to get onto it, that means you got early cycle. And it's not that you have to get that right away, it's just something to keep in mind, something to kind of aim for, is saving that time with that cycle. But starting off, you don't have to do any of that. And I'm actually going to do this room again to show you some more details. Because something that you'll see a lot of runners do here is you'll see them switch puppies. So I'm playing as Domino right now. You can also play as Oddball. Oddball's the white one without spots. And Oddball's actually faster in every language but French. If you're playing all levels in French, do not switch puppies. If you're playing in any other language, feel free to switch to Oddball. And most runners do it here because you're already, like, sitting around kind of waiting. So, like, if I'm Domino here and I get on here, I'm just sitting here waiting. So it's just an easy spot to switch puppies. And for me, that's the select button. If you're on Dreamcast, you have to actually open the menu. But that is why the reason that we switch puppies is that there's one unskippable cutscene in this whole game, and Oddball says the line faster. No. Oddball wins. By, like, it's not even that much, it's like a second and a half, but it's faster, so why not use that? That also means that if you don't remember to switch, it's not worth resetting. Like, this is very small, it's just, you know, a little bit of time saved. But now we're in the most frustrating room, unfortunately. This is the really long, tall room. And so the fastest way to get up here is to, you know, hug the sides and jump over the corners. And if that becomes frustrating, like, just worry about getting to the top, especially at first. Even now, I still fall off the top of Big Ben. And yeah, it's rough when you fall, like, all the way from up here. But once you're up here, first of all, there is an out of bounds that you can do with this punching bag right here. I'm going to talk about that when I do the intermediate tricks after this beginner route, because it is not one that you want to start off with for sure. Anything where you have to clip out with an enemy is going to be much more complicated, and so you want to make sure that you have, like, the basics of getting out of bounds down before you do something like that. Right now, what I'm going to talk about is using these to get across. Our goal is to get up here. It's behind this pendulum. You kind of can't see it right now. And there is a faster way to do this. You can kind of, like, skip some of the steps if you're fast. Like, going back to that tight jump that I was telling you about earlier, you can do a tight jump all the way over here. But if you're falling on that, or especially if you reach this late and, like, they're already starting to move up, you don't want to attempt that. The main goal is just getting, you know, over these. So you can, oh, see, this is why Big Ben is really annoying. And I'm not going to go all the way up these. I'm going to go back to here. We're going to skip the painful part. See, that one I wouldn't have made, so I don't want to try that jump there, because then I would be at the bottom again. And I think the intended way is to, like, jump up here and go over, but it's really easy actually to just jump across to that maroon one. And that's the exit right there. So if you just do this, it's pretty easy to make that jump. That one's not very tight at all. And now we're in the last room. We're almost done with Big Ben, don't worry. This one's pretty straightforward. It's platforming. But the platforms are moving, so you can fall. That is an option. This room also likes to lag, so that can be a little bit frustrating with timing your jumps. But for the most part, oh yeah, like that. You don't want to do that. That's not how you do this room. And you can get on top of the teeth of the gear, and that can save you a little bit of time, but it's a little bit of a more precise jump there. One thing that you might notice is, like, I just rolled onto this platform and I was holding the interact button already, and so that makes sure that you interact with it as soon as possible. You can also do that, I did the same thing in the elevator in Toy Store, if you remember that when you go to Toy Store. So anything that you can interact with, you can just roll into it while holding the button and it'll automatically activate, which is really nice and fast. And I don't know where that helicopter went. It's, like, under the floor. It's not supposed to be. I've never seen it do that. Oh my gosh, it's like, this is its shadow. Where is it? Anyways, that's not important. We don't need the helicopter. That helicopter's actually really mean. Sometimes it attacks, and then after you're hit by an enemy, you have a reduced jump height. So you can actually just like fall down all the way to the bottom because you got hit by the helicopter, which maybe it's better he's under the floor. Oops, we're not saving.
Really brutal.
Yeah. But the next thing that we're going to be doing, so the way that this game is structured, and actually I can kind of go through it in this warp menu here. Again, this is the trainer. You can find this on speedrun.com if you want to use it yourself. The way that the game is structured, you've got 4 levels, and then you've got a Cruella fight. So they're all like numbered. Cruella 1, Cruella 2, Cruella 3, and then Cruella 4 is the last one. So we're about to go into Cruella 1. First Cruella fight. What you're going to learn really fast is that Cruella hates fruit. So Cruella is here with her helicopter loaded with tomatoes, and she's trying to shoot us with the tomatoes, and we're trying to shoot her with the pineapples that are on top of Big Ben, obviously. They keep catapults up here. And I'm going to reload that real quick. So the goal is what you want to do first is you want to roll to the left over to this catapult, and you want to shoot her with a pineapple. And then immediately you head backwards and hit this bell here, because the bell stuns her. Unfortunately, the first time you hit the bell, you get a cutscene so that she doesn't stay in the same place, but after that, she will stay in the same place. So after you get the first one, you just go back and forth and hit the bell and hit her and hit the bell and hit her, and then you have her stun locked, so it's pretty straightforward, actually. And that's it. We've defeated Cruella with the power of pineapples. There is an extra cutscene after each Cruella level, so like if I let it load without skipping, it is going to play a cutscene right here. So you want to make sure to skip that, and that's only after the Cruella levels that there's a cutscene between levels. She does actually say, like, after Cruella 2, after you hit her with watermelons, she does say, "I hate melons." So we have canon proof Cruella hates melons. I don't know about pineapples, though. Pineapples seem more painful. Anyways, this is Royal Museum.
So.
Right? There's 2 levels in the game where you have to do 5 specific tasks before you're allowed to leave. Like, the exit isn't even spawned, so even if we got out of bounds, it would be useless. This is one of them. Barnyard is the other one. This one is just fetch quests. Very appropriate for a dog game. Barnyard has some more complicated things, but the story here is that Cruella's henchmen, like, ruined the museum and put things in the wrong places, and so we have to go and get them back, so that Fluffy... I don't know why Fluffy needs our help. It seems like he works here, but, like, he's not doing any of the work, so... Anyways, I'm on the conspiracy theory side that Fluffy works for Cruella. Like, look at the hair. I'm pretty sure he works for Cruella. Anyways, the first thing we have to get is a coin. It's in the dinosaur room. So head to the dinosaur room, and you can actually jump over this fence here so that you don't have to go down the ramp, which is a little bit faster. If you just jump at the fence while holding forward, it won't work. So if it's not working, that's probably why. If you jump from a distance, it'll work better. So if you, like, jump from over here, you could make it. And the other thing is that if you are right up against the fence, you just want to not be holding forward. If you jump and then press forward at the top, you'll make it over even if you're right up here. Watch it not work now because I said that. Yeah, like that. And you just grab this coin. And then you go back to Fluffy. Yeah, now I've started a debate. There's some very, very supportive Fluffy fans. But everything you grab, you have to bring it back to Fluffy. So the next thing is a scarab. The scarab is in the Roman room, which is all the way on the other side. And you have to jump up here. You can add some rolls here, but they're not necessary at all. And actually, you can do a slope boost right up here. You can do a slope boost off the edge here and then roll back here. Oh, one thing to mention, I'm going to actually go back into the room. You do not want to jump into this loading zone, specifically this loading zone and specifically this room, because there's another loading zone stacked on top of it, and if you get too high, you can touch that loading zone. So I don't know if I can grab it here, but you don't want to do that. Yeah, there we go. See, if you're at the top of your jump when you hit the loading zone, you'll actually end up on the upper level, which is not fast. But it's also not the end of the world. You can go down the side, or you can also just go back into the same room again and jump over the fence to go back down.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a useless glitch that we have. The next thing is a dinosaur bone in the medieval room. It's just in the middle. And then the next one, there is an out of bounds that you can do to get this next one, but if you miss it, it will lose you time. So I'm going to talk about that one in the intermediate tricks at the end. It's called toastbot clip. The other way that you can do this one is you actually go back into the dinosaur room, but you stay on the upper level and take the exit on the left. And this will put you on the upper level of the pyramid room. And then you have to activate this switch. And then you can grab the crown that's here. And you want to be careful not to fall off before you grab the crown. This is a very slippery area. Like, you can see, like, you can slide off these things, so do be careful about that. But this is one of the biggest slope boosts in the game, and it's really fun. So if you jump and roll on this pyramid, you can slope boost right into the exit really quickly.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so it's really satisfying, and we even have a warp for it, so you can go and practice it. There's a few that are really big like that. There's another one in Countryside that we can talk about, but those are the fun ones. The last artifact that we have to get, and the reason that I think Fluffy is working for Cruella, is we're going to grab this donut. And that's not an artifact. And when you hand it to Fluffy, he tells you he just wanted a snack. So he knows that all of our siblings are kidnapped. He knows that, like, we're in imminent danger. And he's like, oh, but also I need a snack.
Hey, Fluffy, you ate the jelly donut. Yeah, that's what it was for. I was...
So, anyways, now that we've gotten Fluffy a snack, we can leave. And so the exit's back in the medieval room. Now there's a door open at the end, and it's here. And now we're in the underground, and this is where I'm going to show you about. This is like the basis of a lot of out of bounds tricks that I'm going to do today. Is using an object to get out of bounds. So that's coming up. Before I do that, there is a fun. I guess this is another fun slope boost that you can do. Actually, it's kind of a combination slope boost and then like object boost. Basically, so we're in the underground. You see there's a train right there. When you get close enough, the train leaves, and you're not supposed to ever be able to reach it because it goes before you even like are anywhere near it. But we're speedrunners, so of course we can reach it. And if you hit it, you actually get a giant speed boost. So to get to it in time, you can't just do a slope boost off of here because you won't get enough speed and it'll still get away from you. But what you can do is jump up on the railing, and that'll give you better height to get a better slope boost. And so then you can actually hit the train and end up all the way over here much faster than you would have otherwise. But I'll do that again because I know that was fast. And when you hit the train, you want to make sure that you're pressing to go right. And if you press to go right and then jump at the right time, you can even end up here. And actually, sometimes you get like all the way up here. It really depends on like what kind of boost you get off the train, which seems kind of random sometimes. It really depends on like where you hit on the train. But one more time, you want to roll into the train, and then I'm actually pressing up and right so that I end up over here. And you want to, get over the third rail. The third rail will zap you, so that's something to be aware of, especially in this category where, oh yeah, you don't want to die on the third rail. There we go. So that's one where I made it all the way over the third rail and all the way up here. So that's something worth trying. It's not worth resetting over. But it's, some optimization. And now we get to crate clip. And crate clip is definitely the first type of out of bounds like this that you should try. So anytime you see somebody using an object or an enemy to get out of bounds, it's the same principle that we're using in crate clip. It's just, you know, with a different object or enemy. And the reason that crate clip is so great is because this crate is not going to move. It's not going to walk away from you. It's not going to die like an enemy can. It just sits here, which is great. What's not great is that this is a puppy trapped in a crate. We ignore that part. I like to think when we defeat Cruella, all the puppies are saved. And if that's not convincing to you, we have the all puppies category. For crate clip though, we want to get the puppy trapped between the crate and the wall. And then that is what we're going to use to push ourselves out of bounds. So you want to aim for the seam, this crack in the wall right here, between the two panels. And you want to jump straight at that. And if you are in the right spot, you should get stuck there. If you're too far to the left or right, you'll probably slide off. And in that case, you can just, you know, try it again, just line up again. Once you have the puppy stuck back here, you can turn around. And this is where it gets a little bit trickier. You need to turn the puppy around so that the butt is facing the wall, like this. And that can be a little tricky. The way that I do it is by tapping left and right usually. Sometimes I also tap up depending on like the position of the puppy. But it is hard to like, you have to move just a little bit so that you don't like walk, but you do turn. So the goal then is to get the puppy so that you're sliding. You can see like there's a constant sliding animation happening. That's a good sign. The camera being out of bounds is also a good sign. If the camera is out of bounds like this, that means it's much more likely to work. If it's like this, then it's less likely to work. It can work, but it's not guaranteed like it is when you got the camera out of bounds. So yeah, so like that one, it didn't work because I just wasn't pushed quite right. But the good news about this one is that you can just keep doing it. And so turn around again. In this case, the camera did fully come out of bounds, so that's a really good sign. And then if I jump, the puppy just gets popped right out of bounds. And so again, once you're out of bounds, you want to make sure that you are holding the jump button so that you do not fall too low, because at that point you'll spawn back at the beginning, which is not useful. If you end up too high, you can just, like I did, you can roll again so that you can see the level. That's what it looks like when you start sliding off. I was a little bit too far to the side, so I slid off again. This is what I get for not lining it up carefully. There we go. Once you're out of bounds though, I will tell you where to go, because it's kind of, you're in a confusing void. Yeah, that one didn't work for some reason. If you are behind an object and it's not quite working, but you're like really close, sometimes you can like wiggle the puppy back and forth too, and that will get the camera out of bounds. So you're not like, you know, totally out of luck if it doesn't work immediately. But once you're here, you can see the level is all around us. You do have to be careful not to get back inside the level. Like if you go too far this way, you'll pop back in here. Because anytime you are underneath a part of the level that like is a valid location for the puppy to be, it'll just put you there. So if you're like, even if you're like way below the level, it'll immediately teleport you to be inbounds at that same spot. So you want to avoid going underneath the level. For underground, what you're going to do is you're going to be heading, I'm going to try to show this with the camera. You come from over there and you're heading to here. So it's kind of like a diagonal direction from where you start. You want to aim for this area right here where there's the different water levels and the boats in the water. And it actually doesn't really matter where you end up here, as long as you're not on the lowest level where there's the alligators. You'll get stuck there and you can't continue if you get there. But if you're here, you can keep going. You just want to roll out the other side. If you end up in the area with the boats, like on the water with the boats, that's also a fine place to be, because the other wall doesn't have collision there, because you're not supposed to ever get that high. What actually happens when you're like playing this game normally is this whole tier lowers down to the same level as the alligator level. So like you're never supposed to be up here, so they didn't add collision here. So you can just jump right through. But either way, you want to go out the other side, and then the general direction that you're heading, you don't want to go straight out the other side. That will lead you to the void. You want to go kind of diagonally left. Oop. And you don't want to get stuck in that puppy box. If you keep heading diagonally left, you will get there. Unfortunately, for this demonstration, PlayStation has the lowest draw distance of any of the platforms, so if you're on PlayStation, it is a little bit harder to find where you're going. But in general, if you just keep floating in the direction of like where you know you're supposed to be, you will find it eventually. But let me do that one more time so you can actually see like better where we're going from the beginning. So, I turn around kind of fast. If you're ever unsure of where you're supposed to be going in the out of bounds area, just stop and float, and eventually you'll probably see parts of the level. So what you can definitely do after doing crate clip is just stop there, hold the roll button so that you float a little bit, and then you should start to see the level around you. And then you don't have to do anything blind. With this one, you won't be able to see the level right away, so that is a little bit unfortunate, but if you head in this direction from the puppy box, again, you can just float there. You do not have to roll or go fast or anything, because getting there is the most important part. And once you're here, you actually, this is just the exit. You've made it. And then the next level is Carnival, which is definitely the hardest level in the whole game. And when I say that, I'm completely lying, because you don't have to do anything. Honestly, maybe I should say it unironically that's the hardest level, because you will lose like time in this level for just like taking slightly the wrong angle at first. Like you lose time in this level for the silliest things, because the exit's right here. You don't have to do any of the side quests or anything. This level's actually really big and has some fun stuff. You don't see any of it. Don't worry about it. Here's the end. Would have blown my mind as a kid. And now we're on to Lumber Mill. Lumber Mill has another out of bounds that you can do with this enemy right here. But going back to what I said about enemy clips, you want to make sure that you have crate clip down before you try anything with enemies, because enemies hurt you, enemies die, enemies are temporary. And I'm going to be showing that clip afterwards in the intermediate stuff. Oh, and that's what I mean about you lose your jump after you get hit. So I couldn't get over this. You've got two options for what to do here. You can take a jump that's pretty tight off of this log. You can actually make it to there. If you're not making this, which that's totally fair, I miss it sometimes too, especially when there's lag like there is on PlayStation. You can go around here. Actually, there was immediately less lag when I went in this direction. You can just go around here. If you're slow in the log setup, you actually lose time over doing it the normal way, so don't worry about that log setup too much. And then this is kind of a maze, just a bit. So follow the path here. You want to end up at this pyramid. And here's another spot where you can get an extra life. You can grab this one right here. Oh, you don't want to fall off like I did. That was bad. Not how you speedrun. You do want to grab the extra life though while you're here, because it's nice to have, especially when you're first learning, because you need all your lives for this route. We do death warps. We need them all. So if you do take an accidental death, it's a problem unless you have an extra life. And then you want to grab this key. And then you want to go and drive this crane, because puppies can operate cranes, in case you didn't know. This puppy's very talented. And you can actually just hold the button to exit this. Same as like what I was talking about, like you can be holding the interact button before you get to something. You can also hold the exit button. So in this case, it's triangle. It's the same as the roll button. And that's Lumber Mill. And now we're on to the second Cruella fight. So this time, I already alluded to this, we've got watermelons. And Cruella's in a boat. Cruella's in a boat shooting us with tomatoes this time. So, there's some faster ways to do this level. The problem is that if any of it gets messed up, you just kind of are on your own trying to do it as quickly as possible. There's also the fact that there's RNG here. Which way Cruella goes is RNG dependent. So we don't have like a manipulation for this RNG or anything. What I can say is that if she's moving to the right, she will not turn around to the left. It's just not possible based on the game's code. If she's moving left, she might turn right, and you don't know when she's going to do it. And I say that like between shooting. Once she shoots, then she can go either direction. If she isn't shooting and she starts moving to the right, she will not turn around. She starts moving to the left, she can turn around like she just did. So that's why it's kind of iffy if you want to like shoot in front of her and hope that it hits her while she's moving. It's definitely a lot safer to wait for her to stop, because then you know for sure that she's not going to turn around. Excuse me. She's not going to turn around or like move where you can't hit her or something like that. But I'm going to restart this so that I can show you. The fastest thing to do is to skip this cutscene and then try to hit her right away, which can be a little bit annoying if she heads under the bridge. You can skip all these cutscenes here with Cruella, but the one that you can't skip is after you hit her for the third time. You cannot skip that cutscene, and that is why you want to be oddball, which you probably already were at this time. I'm using the save states, so I was back to being Domino. For the second hit, what I usually do is I wait for her to stop so that I can hit her with 2. If she stops in the right spot where it's lined up right, like here, I could hit her with both of these at once with just one roll. I could roll forward and just hit both the watermelons. A lot of times she'll stop in places where that's not possible. Of course, now she's stopping in places where it is a lot. So if you see her lined up perfectly, you can go for that. But a more consistent way to get 2 hits on her in one stop is to wait for her to stop, hit her with the second melon, and then hit her with the third melon, and she'll still be stopped. And that is the unskippable cutscene where Oddball says, "I think we almost got her." And that's faster for Oddball to say it, unless you're in French. Now for the last watermelon. This one we do have a bit of a strat for. For the other ones, it can be kind of iffy if you're going to hit her, if you try to hit her while moving. But for this one, it's pretty consistent to hit her while she's moving if you aim the puppy at a 45-degree angle. So like if you're using the D-pad, you can just press up and left or up and right in whatever direction she's moving, and then roll into the melon. And that one pretty consistently hits her while she's moving. And then you feel pretty cool because you just got a hit on Cruella while she was moving. So that is Cruella II. I forgot what number we were on. One of the Cruellas. And there's another cutscene after this one again, because it was a Cruella level. And now we're in Countryside. First thing with Countryside, actually, you don't want to just roll forward because you'll activate a cutscene, which is fine. Like it's not a huge deal, but it's also not optimal. So if you head a little bit this way, you just won't hit it anymore because you want to go up these stairs here. Oops, you don't want to fall there. You do want to fall here. You want to fall here on purpose because we're going to try to get a slope boost. So you can get a slope boost off this if you slide down it and then roll. You saw how like Domino scraped the side of the cliff? That was good. And so it can be hard to get that. It's easy to go for. Sometimes it's hard to get, especially like you'll get ones of different length. Some of them go really far and some of them don't. So if you get anyone, that's good. You want to try not to bonk on these, but that easier said than done. And then Countryside also has a lot of smaller slope boosts. Like there's a little bit of a one there and there's a little bit of one here. You can go for any of these. You just want to make sure you're not going too far out of the way because then you'll lose time. And then here's our next big slope boost. So there's the exit. This is a giant slope. What you can't see because he's not loaded yet, there is one of Cruella's henchmen. We don't want to hit him though. So you want to get the slope boost, but you want to avoid hitting Horus. That's Horus, yeah. And that's Countryside. And now we're on to Barnyard, which is the next task-based level. So in this one, I don't have any conspiracy theories about Priscilla. I think she's a very nice pig. It's her birthday. And the farmer for this farm is very lazy and he's not been doing the chores. So it's up to Priscilla to do them. But since it's her birthday, we're going to help her out. And so the first thing that we're going to do is go and turn on the water. And it's in the barn here. And again, you can hold the interact button before you get to the water faucet and it'll just automatically turn. And then you head back to Priscilla. For Fluffy, you don't have to press the interact button to talk to him, although I think I do by reflex. You don't have to. Priscilla, you do have to. So make sure you're holding the interact button as you approach Priscilla. And now we have to go and fix this windmill because it is broken. Oh, I'm stuck on the wall. The windmill's broken and we have to fix it, and apparently all we have to do is bark at it because that fixes things. So you can just bark at it. You can also roll into it. The reason that I barked at it is because you can do a slow boost off of this here, actually. If you jump and roll, you'll get some extra speed. Going back to Priscilla. And now we get to everybody's favorite part, the hens. So we're gonna intentionally take a death here, but I'm going to show you the safer way of doing the hens. Afterwards, when I talk about some intermediate stuff, I'll show you a way to skip one of the cutscenes here. But for this one, I'll show you a way that makes sure you don't die, because that's the important part. So you see the hens. They're actually already spawned in here, so I'm going to go back and reload them so that they start in their initial positions. And there's actually a warp for this in the trainer. So once you get here, they start walking around, and they're always in the same spot here. So if you do this the same way every time, you can actually get consistent hens. The problem is that it's really hard to get them to behave the same way every time. And if you miss even one of these barks, then you're just left trying to get them in, you know, whenever you can. So there you saw I barked 2 of them in immediately. And that's cool if you can do that. It's definitely something to try to do. But what's more important is just getting them in. So what you should know about the hens is that if you like get them in the wrong direction, they will head that way. And if you get too close to them, they'll just stay in this mode where you can't bark at them anymore. So when they're like hopping around, they won't react when you bark. Nothing happens. So you don't want them like this. If you see one like this, you want to walk away so that it goes back to just walking around. The other thing with the hens is that you can get them stuck. So if I move this hen all the way over here and then bark, nope, not there. If I try to bark a hen in all the way from the side, see now that this one's jumping around. If I try to bark a hen in all the way from the side, it is going to get stuck on the barn. That was the wrong way. Of course, this happens when I don't want it to, and now I'm trying to show you, and it's not going to happen.
I'm gonna be honest with you, that's like literally every trick on this show. Or just...
There we go! Yep, exactly. Like, once you try to show something, it's like, oh, yeah. This happens sometimes, I promise, really. Anyways, you don't want to get the hen stuck here, because then you can't get the hen in. You can reload the hens, though, just like I did before. If you roll back here, they will reset, and then you can try again. But it just is very unfortunate when that happens. So now they're all back. Oh, this is... Nope, that's not the fast way. Sometimes they do that too. If they're like not close enough to the coop, they'll just like do a short hop instead of going into the coop. And then you get the last one in, and then this cutscene plays. Where it's like a different crow. And that means you've got them all. If you think you've done everything right and there's no hens left and it's still not working, you might have soft locked it. It is possible to get 2 hens in at the exact same time, and in that case it will soft lock and you have to restart the level. So that's why you want to be fast, but you don't want to bark at 2 at the same time unless like you're sure that you're doing it in a way that it won't soft lock. Once you've gotten all the hens in though, you can come over to this guy here and take a death. And this will bring you right back to Priscilla so that you don't have to worry about like walking all the way back since that's slow. Yes, so that is task number 3. Next task is to empty the silo of grain. And this one's another one where we're going to do a death warp because this is pretty far away and we have to get all the way back to Priscilla afterwards. So you can take 1 hit here as you're passing by. You can take another hit. Or 2, actually. I usually take 2 hits on this bulldozer right here so that I have 1 left. Because there's not a lot of danger of getting hit by something else over here. And then I'm actually going to do another out of bounds trick. Oh, I don't want to die to that guy. This is an out of bounds trick. It doesn't look like it necessarily because it's another one that's really easy. So if I do it really slow, you can see I'm actually on top of the haystack. I don't know why this happens. There's certain geometries in this game where it's really easy to get on top of them just by like jumping at them at weird angles. This one though, it's not even that weird of an angle. You just jump at it and you go through it. And it's actually harder to land on top of it than go straight through it because that's our goal. We want to just jump straight through this haystack, just like that, and we're on the other side. And that's faster. And if you happen to be doing the inbounds category, remember that that is an out of bounds trick because it has invalidated many inbounds runs. Once you're in the silo though, you can press down and roll. Oh. If you do it right away, if you press down and roll, you'll end up at this nozzle here. There's 3 different nozzles that you want to hit. And so the next one's over here. And then the next one's right next to it. And once you've gotten all of them, that's it, you've done it. And you can leave. For some reason, there's like a puppy down here, and the puppy is fine. These puppies are invincible. There's also one on top of a furnace at one point. But then you come over here and take another death so that you get back to Priscilla. And so now we're on to the last task. And this one is to knock down the outhouse. Which sounds like some pro-revenge, right? Like Priscilla's mad at the farmer and she's gonna destroy his outhouse. But not really, because he just got plumbing and she's helping. So we grabbed the key that's in the barn. Oh, we don't want to go back in the barn. That is not intended. So grab the key. And then you head over here, kind of like you're going to see the hens, but instead you go through this door right here and you end up right here. This is like if you go up this way, you'll get to the tractor. And you can go that way actually if you want to. If you head through that door and then head right, you'll find the tractor. But I'm going to be doing another out of bounds here. And this one's also not super difficult. If you jump into this wall, into the dirt part of the wall specifically, you'll see the puppy get stuck here. So once you're stuck like that, you want to just press, well, while you're stuck like that, I should say, you want to just like press so that you go left and you'll go through the wall. And you want to just go straight through the wall because right on the other side is this area here where the tractor is. And you want to skip the tractor cutscene because that's slow. There is a long black screen. Sometimes it's longer. Depends on like your PC or your console. And that's okay. That is a known black screen. And these are some fun slow boosts that you got to do to get back to Priscilla because this time we're not death warping. And so here we are. It's Priscilla's birthday. We could give her this present, but this is a speedrun, so we don't. I like how the game makes you give Fluffy a jelly donut, but doesn't make you give Priscilla her birthday present.
You only need to get it, right?
No, you have to bring it back to Fluffy. So you have to give Fluffy a jelly donut. Oh, poor Priscilla. That's why we do incentives for giving Priscilla her birthday gift.
Oh, that's good.
This is Ice Festival. If you've ever seen a speedrun of this game, you might have seen somebody do a trick called Penguin Clip, which is where you use this penguin friend to get through the wall because the portal's right on the other side. That trick is not a beginner trick. It's like, it's not frame perfect, but you have like 3 frames to do it. I will be talking about it in the intermediate section though. I just don't recommend that you go for it right away, even though it's really tempting because it's fun and flashy and saves a lot of time. But if you're not doing Penguin Clip, you can head over here, and there's lots of slow boosts in this level. And there's also lots of other unintended things. It's not like you're going to just be playing the level normally, because you're definitely not supposed to be able to get up here. And actually, so yeah, people are mentioning the demo. This was the level that was on the demo, and on the demo, you can't do these jumps. You can't jump up here on the demo, but for some reason in the final, they like changed the water a little bit so that you can. And you don't have to actually take all the ice pieces across. And there's another one later that you do as well. I don't know why they picked this level of all the levels to be on the demo disc.
I don't know, but I'm getting so many flashbacks right now. I think I played this.
The demo or the whole game?
No, the demo. I think I played the demo of this.
That's amazing. Yeah, it was on a demo disc. I have it actually, but I don't think I have the cover for it, so I couldn't see what the games are. It's got like 102 Dalmatians, and there's a Spyro, I think Spyro 3's on it. And some sports games and stuff. A Spider-Man game's on it, I think. But it's different. It's got different physics and stuff. Anyways, this is the slalom course, and you're supposed to like do well and get all the flags, but it turns out you don't have to do any of the flags to keep going, so we're not going to. I'm stopped here because I want to show you guys a quick boost that you can do at the top, and you have to do it at the top. If you roll over here so that you start falling, you gain a lot of speed from that fall. It's kind of like a slope boost. It's the same concept where like the falling speed interacts with the slope, but I'll show it again. You want to go to the left and hit this part here so that the puppy ends up falling. And some of them are bigger than others. Like the first one that I got wasn't that big of a boost. This one's also not that big of a boost. Sometimes you can slingshot like way past the end. That one was actually bigger than I thought because we went way past the end on that one. But you can go really fast sometimes. Oops, we don't want to start again. So that's another thing that's like worth trying, but it's not like a big deal if you miss it. Yeah, so this one's a slow one. But that's okay. You don't have to get any of the flags. You just go to the end, talk to Crystal, and then keep going. There is a cutscene trigger that you're going to hit. You will always hit the first one, so don't worry about like trying to avoid the first one. But for the second one, you want to head over here so that you don't hit the second one. And if you just like head straight to this area right here, it won't be a problem. You just don't want to get too close to Jasper right here. I keep forgetting their names. You don't want to get too close to Jasper because he will trigger the cutscene. So like if you stop here from the first cutscene trigger, you can just like hold diagonally down and left and roll and you'll avoid the trigger. It's not super hard to avoid. And then once you're over here, there's another little skip you can do. You don't have to take any of those ice pieces. You just have to go to this area along the wall. And it is a very specific area. It's not anywhere. You can't do it over here. You can't do it over here. It's just kind of generally in this, like, if you see there's like a repeating pattern going on where like this is the first panel of the repeating pattern and then this is the second panel of the repeating pattern. It's in the second one from the right that you want to hit. And if you just jump and press forward, you should get over it. Maybe not right away, but on one of them. And that's it. Now you're at the end. And now we're in Ancient Castle. This is where we get more fun out of bounds stuff. More fun, easy out of bounds stuff. So this is the first part where it matters whether you're on console or PC. So if you're on Dreamcast or PlayStation, I'm going to talk about that first. The beginning is the same for both of them. You open this up. That was a long black screen. You open this up and you head in. And then you jump down the fountain. And once you're here, this is where it gets different. If you're on console, you want to head towards this right here, this like lever. If you stand on it and press the button, it like makes the water level change, but we're not doing that. What you want to do is jump into this spot in the wall right here. And so if you do that, you should get out of bounds. It really is as simple as that. So I'll show that again. And you can, it's easy to get back in bounds here. It's also easy to get lost here because it's a giant blue void, but I'll talk about how not to get lost. So you just jump here. You can do it from the second step as well if you get a high enough jump, which is a little bit faster. Oh, this is slippery. You can do it here too. And then once you're out of bounds, you want to, I'm gonna pause it for a sec. You see this like texture in the background? It's like, it is the background texture actually. You want to aim for like this area where it turns or even a little bit more to the right of it. And if you just head in that direction, you will end up at the exit eventually. So you can float there like I'm doing. And there you see it's right there. If you want to be faster, this one's I think one of the easier ones to start practicing faster out of bounds movement because there's some really clear cues that you can aim for. So if you aim here and then you start to roll and then jump and then roll and then jump just like you do in bounds, this is faster out of bounds movement and you will get there pretty reliably, like actually end up at the exit. Whereas if you do that in some other levels, like it's really easy to get lost. So, yeah, this one's a good one to practice that on. Now, if you're on PC, you're going to do a slightly different trick. So, if you start, you know, you're in the same place as console, you just dropped down the fountain. You want to head for the stairs. And there's actually 2 different clip options that you have. I'm going to show you one that is almost as easy as the console trick. I say almost, it is. If you're a PC runner, I guess you can brag a little bit that you got some of the harder tricks, but it's almost as easy. Then there's another one that's a little bit more complicated, and I'm going to save that for the intermediate tricks that I'm going to do next, because that one uses this corner. It's faster, but it's a little bit more finicky, and I personally have gotten stuck on it in like marathon runs, so maybe that's just my own personal bias against the trick, but I don't think it's what you should start with. The other one that you can do is using this corner, and so remember I said in Barnyard, sometimes when corners have weird angles like this, you can just do things to get out of bounds with them. This is another one that's at that same angle, and so we're not going to be floating through the void in this one. We're going to use it to actually pop up to the upper level of the castle, because if you remember how I said the out of bounds works, if you're underneath a part of the level that's like a valid location for the puppy to be, it'll just pop you up to that point. So we're trying to just get slightly out of bounds here so that it forces us up to the top of the castle. The general way that these corner tricks work, first you want to have the puppy perfectly parallel with the wall that you're trying to clip into. So in this case, we're trying to clip into the wall on the right, so it's perfectly parallel here. Also, just like preface, you can do this on console. I'm currently doing it on console. It's just, there's 2 console exclusive tricks that you cannot do on PC. Everything else works on any console. So if you want to do this one on your PlayStation or Dreamcast, you can. And in fact, we do for some of the other routes like all puppies. So once you have the puppy perfectly parallel to the wall that you're trying to clip into, and you also want the camera perfectly behind the puppy, that's when you can start jumping and walking forward. And with this one, it's pretty easy actually, because sometimes the puppy starts clipping almost immediately. You'll see the puppy slowly moving into the wall. In this case, it's not happening. And if it's not happening, you want to tap the camera just slightly, using the right camera button. And if you move the camera too much, that's okay. Just reset, get the camera behind the puppy, and then try it again. Try tapping the camera again. And you basically want to do this until you see the puppy moving into the wall. Sometimes you have to fight the camera a bit. That is the hardest part of this trick, is fighting the camera that wants to not do this. Okay, this one looks good actually. So the puppy's ear is like staying fully in the wall. I just tap a little bit now. Sometimes you'll get it instantly, sometimes you have to mess around with camera. There we go! So I just, you know, walked right through the wall and now we're on top of the castle. When you get it, it happens pretty much instantly, and otherwise you might have to fight a little bit. So I'm gonna go back down so you can see that again. Walk into the wall. Start jumping. Not working, try tapping the camera, and then there you go. For this one, I'm not sure if it matters when you tap the camera for this one. For the other option that you can do on PC, it really matters that you tap the camera at the top of your jump. But I think this one you just have to get the camera to the right angle. It doesn't matter when you tap the camera. So just do it until you see the puppy moving into the wall. And yeah, this is perfectly normal puppy behavior. All puppies clip through walls. The good news about doing this trick... Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was just gonna make a joke.
The good news about doing this trick is that there's supposed to be wind spawned at the top of the castle that pushes you back constantly, and you're supposed to like have to roll against the wind, but it doesn't spawn because we went out of bounds, which is great. It's much faster. Anyways, yes, normal puppy behavior.
So that's how all the puppies get out that we don't save, right? They just clip out?
Exactly, they clip out of the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, my sister made a good point. If we can save the puppies by just rolling into the box, they should be able to get out themselves.
Yeah,
because they should also be able to roll into the box.
Yeah. There's enough room in there if they just roll into a circle to get up momentum.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, now we're on Cruella III. we're going to fight Cruella with pumpkins this time. And this one has a manipulation that will help you get it a lot more consistently every time. And there's two versions of the manipulation. If you do the manipulation like fully, like you did everything perfect, then you'll save the most time and Cruella will end up exactly where you want her when you start being able to shoot her with the pumpkins. If you do the manipulation halfway right, which is a lot easier to get, it's still really useful because it means that you won't have to go through another cycle with her, and it means that you will still get her over to where you want her much faster than you would have otherwise. So that's why it's definitely worth trying to go for this, even if you can't get it fully right. So the first thing that I'm going to do is restart the level, and you want to immediately move left and shoot this first block out. Because we have to shoot all these blocks before we can shoot at Cruella. The next thing is I'm going to hit that block that's right there, just to the right. Right here. And then stop in the middle. And I already messed that up because I took too long. So you want to start moving immediately with this. So hit that one, come over here, reload, hit this one, and then stop in the middle here so that she throws a balloon. She's going to throw the balloon and you want to start moving right again before the balloon like fully hits the ground, like that. And this is where it gets tricky. This is what separates like a full manipulation from just a partial manipulation. You need to stay on the ground as little as possible over here, but you still need to reload the catapult and shoot out that block that I'm right below right now. And that's where it gets tricky. And I still miss it sometimes because it's just some really tight movement. But if you go for it as good as you can, you'll still get pretty close and get the half manipulation. And so I know that the full manipulation didn't happen there because Cruella threw a balloon at me. But that's okay, I'm just gonna keep going. And you want to shoot that one and reload. And then you just go across and shoot the rest of them. And if you got the full manipulation, Cruella will already be over here on the left side. But because I didn't, I have to wait a second for her to walk over. But the cool thing is that no matter, you know, which part of the manipulation you did, you can shoot her through this wall as long as she's turned to the side, because for some reason, her hitbox comes through the wall and you can just hit her. You're not supposed to be able to do this, but you can. So once she's turned sideways, you can just keep holding the shoot button. Like this. And that's Cruella 3. And actually, I'm going to keep going here. Oh, it reloaded Cruella 3 anyways. That's interesting. Unintended side effects of the trainer. Alright, so we've defeated Cruella 3 times with various types of fruit. Now we're in Spooky Forest. And Spooky Forest is pretty straightforward. There's not any out of bounds that you can do. But there is a bit of like an enemy boost that you can do. There's, I've talked a lot about slope boosts. You can do kind of like an upgraded form of a slope boost with if you get the puppy trapped between something and the wall. So my goal right now is actually to use this toy soldier to get the puppy trapped on a slope. And I'm going to reload that so I can, because this is an enemy trick. Don't worry about it if you can't get it fully. I just missed it right there. You want to aim the soldier towards the wall and bark to... Oh, yeah, that's not going to work either. You want to aim the soldier towards the wall and bark to get... I can't even hit the soldier. Walk here, bark, jump forward, and now you go really fast. Honestly, I would classify this more as an intermediate trick, so you might not want to worry about it at first. It really doesn't save that much time, but since it's so easy to show off, I'm just showing it off right now. And if you have the trainer, it's really easy to practice it over and over again. If you don't have the trainer, it can be really frustrating. But that's the general idea. Then you roll over this way. And you roll to the end. And Spooky Forest, the next level is Hedge Maze. It is called a maze, but honestly, Spooky Forest is more of a maze, so you definitely want to make sure you memorize like which exits I'm taking in that one. And now we're on to Hedge Maze. Like I said, Hedge Maze is a maze. Luckily, we don't get to see, or we don't have to see much of it. We just kind of go through it with only flipping a few switches. So you do want to flip that switch. You can just roll straight through this giant tumbleweed. That's not important. And then you head following the path that I am taking. One thing that is important to know about Hedge Maze is that RNG really matters here. And it matters because of this puzzle. You have to complete this puzzle to finish the level. And how many turns it's going to take to finish this puzzle is dependent on RNG. We don't have any kind of manipulation for this because the other thing about this level is that on every single frame, the RNG is changing because there's like these cricket sound effects happening and bird sound effects. Those are all controlled by the RNG as well. So like there's no chance that we will ever be able to manipulate this. You just have to hope that the game likes you that day. Each of these pieces can take up to 3 turns. So I had, I think 2 there and then 1, and this is another 2. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That was actually a little bit worse than average. So the lowest that it can take is 9 turns because each one then be only turned once. The most it can take is 27 turns. Average is 18 turns. It does actually work out like that if you just look at like raw percentages of how many times each one appears. So you're hoping for less than 18, but sometimes it doesn't work out like that one. But the exit is right after this. Oh, we're not saving. My muscle memory is trained for Dreamcast, and if you're on Dreamcast and you take the memory card out, it doesn't even ask you to save. You can just press A to skip through the save screen. So I keep trying to do that and then accidentally saving. But now we're in Vil Manor. There's an out of bounds you can do with this toastbot right here. That's definitely one of the more complicated enemy clips, so I'm going to talk about it afterwards in the intermediate tricks. And instead, I'm just going to go up here. Oops, not on the wall. We are almost to the end, by the way. We have almost defeated Cruella for the last time. There's a fun slope boost you can do here that actually, like, it saves a lot of time. Because you're going to go down this vent, and you're supposed to just fall down, but you can end up all the way on here. And it's actually kind of tricky to get. So I'll do that again. So you can see, if you want to head back up, you just fall there because physics, it doesn't make any sense. Like, in space, that makes no sense. But that's what you do. So you want to roll down here. You can do 2 full rolls, and then you jump at the end. And you end up here. And if you get enough speed, you might get catapulted right into this puppy. And you might accidentally save a puppy. I like to joke that it's not a real speedrun because you saved a puppy, but it happens. And now we're into the second to last level. The last level before the last Cruella fight. Toy Factory. And this is another cycle-based one. Which I've already messed up the cycles by taking really, really uneven paths. I think I messed it up again. That's okay. The cycles in this level are more subtle than Big Ben. Like, it's really easy to see when you've made the cycles in Big Ben. It's a bit harder to see, and there's a lot more going on in this level. I'll try one more time, but I'm not used to this controller, so I'll just blame the controller. Yeah, so if you can get to this before it moves up for the first time, that's fine. More important is making this jump here. So you're supposed to go up and around and down here, but we're not going to do that. That is slow. We're going to do another jump like we just did in the Big Ben, like we did in Lumber Mill, if you tried that one. We're going to jump over to here, and so it's kind of like Big Ben, where, whoops, not like that. You can line yourself up on the corner and then make the jump. You can also put yourself at a diagonal and then make the jump. The diagonal The problem with this one is that you can see like it's sloping upwards here. So you don't want to aim too far this way because you just won't have the height. You kind of want to stay over here and make it to here. Oh, not that. So once you're here, the camera does do a weird shift, but you can, your goal is to get up here. And actually, yeah, let's do another Dalmatian. Look, 2 Dalmatians. The next thing we want to do is jump to here. You are actually supposed to get here. This is an intended jump, although it is kind of tight sometimes. And then you jump over to here. There is another penguin clip that you can do on this penguin here. This one's even harder than the Ice Festival one though, so that is not recommended at first. I don't even recommend it for myself. I've done it before, but like, it's a rough one. But you get to the next room. This is where you get to some more cycle-based stuff. Because you can get boosts off of these crushers, these big scary machines that Cruella has for some reason. We could probably talk about this. Like, Cruella, the story is that Cruella's toy business is failing, and she thinks it's because everybody's spending their money on pets. In the meantime, though, this is her toy factory. I don't see any toys being made. Maybe that's why her toy business is failing.
Like she put a lot of money in her security system and not into the toys.
Exactly. She made a toy business. Really, it's a security business. So you can get, oh yeah, that was a good boost. You can get boosts on all of these. Sometimes you can roll into it like while it's moving and get the boost if you like are a little bit late on the cycle. But if you get there before it's moving, you can just jump into the side of it like this and you'll get the boost. And it's just some nice little speed tech. And then we're gonna head across these boxes. And we're going to head through here. I like to jump through these ones because sometimes when you're jumping you don't... Oh, I got a boost there. That is rare actually. The goal is not to get a boost there, but you can sometimes. If you jump through them though, especially if you're low on health, that can be useful because if you're jumping, there's a chance you won't get hit when they like crush on you for some reason. I'm stopped here because this is the next console exclusive trick. So I'm going to show the console version. The PC version is harder. The PC version I would not classify as a beginner trick at all, so I will be going over it after this in the intermediate section. So unfortunately for PC players, probably just do the rest of this level in bounds at first because it uses the same type of thing that we do in Big Ben where we use the punching bag to get out of bounds. So by the end of the intermediate part you'll also know how to do that, but it's a really frustrating trick to try to do it first. For console players, so if you're on Dreamcast or PlayStation, you're going to use this box that I'm supposed to jump on. You're going to use it to get out of bounds. So the first step is to jump onto it. And I'm going to be doing an easier version of this trick that Chikorek just discovered recently, actually. What you can do is you can pause buffer this trick, actually. And so there are faster ways to do this without pause buffering. And once you're comfortable with the pause buffer version, I would definitely recommend looking into those. But especially at first, this will really help you to get this trick down. What you want to do is you want to roll off this box when the bottom of the box is in line with this first lowest part of the window. And that holds for whether you're doing it the pause buffered way or not. But with pause buffering, you have a really nice cue for whether or not that's true. The only tricky part about this is pausing and unpausing fast enough for the puppy to only move a little bit. So that can be definitely a little bit hard. I actually sometimes miss it too. So once the box stops, oh no, I didn't go too far. Okay, that's still the lowest box. If you stop with the box in the lowest window, you can just hold the roll button and then unpause to get out of bounds. And that's it, you're out of bounds. The way that it works is you roll over the top of the level basically, and this doesn't work on PC because they made a better wall there. Yes, it is pause buffering. It does say paused, P-A-W-S, paused. Once you're out of bounds, it's the black void. This one's definitely one of the most confusing out of bounds areas. What you should know is if you keep going forward, you will eventually start to see things. And so I can see something right there. And so definitely head towards things that you see, because they will help you get to places that you do know. This is not the room that, oh, this is the room that we're heading for. So once you see something, it should be this room with the 102 in it. I'm gonna do that whole thing again though, because that was a lot going on. So again, you want to, oh, I did not pause in time. You do not want to do that. And you want to make sure the puppy's all the way on the top edge of the box like I am now. I'm actually a little bit far, but that should be fine. Ah, I messed up my pauses. It's easy, I promise, as I mess it up every time. Oh, okay, that can happen, where the game is just mean, and sometimes you get hit by nothing on this conveyor belt. I think what might be happening is that these penguins down here, like it gets confused for some reason on like where they should be hitting, and it hits you even though you're above them. I'm not actually sure if that's what's happening, but that's what it seems like to me. You can also clip into the crate and take damage, which is why it's really nice to not like be really low on health for this part of the game, because you can just take damage just cuz sometimes. This one might work. Let's try it. So then you unpause and hold roll, and it did work. And so in this case, like I said, just hold forward. The actual room is forward and a bit right, so you could go a little bit right to aim yourself in the right place, and then it will appear. Just trust that it'll appear. You have to in the void. Oh, I have to show the other version though. Can't stop there. If you're on PC, or if that trick is not working for you, you can keep going. And you just go through these rooms. Kind of normally. Semi-normally. Not fully normally. Don't worry, we still have skips. The one thing to be aware of, you have to be careful with these crushers here. It's possible to soft lock by falling through the floor. What happens is you get like flung out at really high speed, and it will eventually spawn you back at the beginning with none of the machinery operational, so you're just kind of stuck there and have to reload the level. To avoid it, you wanna go along the sides so that you're not too close to the middle, and you can get boosts off of them too. This room you can just roll through. There's a puzzle that you can do if you want to like save a puppy or get bones, but we're not going to do that. And then you head over here to go up this wind tunnel elevator. And what you're supposed to do in this area is there's 3 switches. There's one way over here that you kind of can't see, and then there's this one, and then there's the one that we're next to. You're supposed to hit all of them. We're only going to hit one. But if you're struggling with this final jump, you can definitely hit more of them. Because if you miss the jump, at that point you might as well have hit all the switches. So that's why it might be useful to hit the switches to get a better time. But what you want to do, what's supposed to happen when you hit the second switch, this gear moves closer to the other one. And when you hit the last switch, another platform comes up so that you can just walk to the end. We're not going to do that. We're going to first do this jump. This one's a lot easier. It's still tricky. Not saying it's not tricky, but it's a lot easier than this one. This one is where things get complicated. You basically have to jump as soon as the puppy walks off the edge. And so the way that I practice this one is to kind of like sit here and then wait for this to turn so that you can see there. And see, I even missed it just there. Don't worry, we have a save state for that. So if you sit, oh, don't fall off. If you sit on the gear and wait for it to turn around, that can kind of help you get the timing down. You want to jump at the last possible moment though. There's now an easier way to do it though, using jump buffering. So when you jump and walk off an edge, the puppy will jump. So like if I'm holding the jump button and walk off the edge, you saw I just jumped there. And you can actually use that to jump at the right moment. So if you jump from the second gear and then get to here, you can make sure that you're jumping at the right time. The tricky part is that you just still have to roll at the right time. Oh, you know what? This I think is the wrong save state. This isn't possible. We're gonna have to go back. We're gonna have to go back a bit. Because because I think the second switch is flipped there. That's okay. We can fix it. I can do that trick. I'm not going to. I'm just going to roll back through it. The nice thing about the jump is that you can retry it as much as possible. It's really low stakes. Like, you're not going to die or anything. And you just have to get used to the muscle memory for it, for what that jump is. And this is definitely the trickiest jump like this. This is definitely the trickiest jump like this. Like, I talked about the Big Ben one, I talked about the one at the beginning. This one's the hardest, so if you can get this one, you've done the hardest jumps that we have. So let me show you with jump buffering again. You can do it for this one too. You can just keep holding jump this whole time. And I still missed it. But the jump is at the right time. The important thing is that the jump is at the right time when you do the jump buffer method. And then all you have to do is worry about rolling at the right time. There we go. So honestly, the best way to practice this jump is to just keep doing it over and over again. But that's it, we've made it to Cruella IV. You can also use that auto jump anywhere else. Like, you can use it in Big Ben too if you're falling off. Like, if you're missing jumps on the way up a lot, you can hold down jump for that as well. For this one, you'll notice we've upgraded a bit. Cruella has a goo gun. We have lasers. So let's go take a look at our laser. Oh, did I, Yeah, there we go. Let's get a laser. I'm gonna actually restart so that I know that we're got everything right. So you can skip the cutscene, roll over here, get the laser. You can't shoot Cruella with it. You can only shoot her machines. So the first thing you want to do is first press whatever button is shield, and then aim to the left and a little bit down, and you'll hit all these boxes in one cycle, which is really great. The next thing that's going to happen is there's going to be a bunch of robot heads. These ones, RNG is a factor here. You have to just hope that they all pop up like right away. Well, yeah. The goal that I'm going to teach you today is a 4-cycle Cruella 4, which means that you have 4 different lasers that you're going to use. Using 1 laser for the boxes, 2 lasers for the robot heads, and then 1 laser for the orbs at the end. If it takes longer than that, that's okay too. It's just that you won't know anymore where the last orb is going to pop up, which is something that you will know using the 4-cycle method. So again, you can use the shield, and then you just shoot where the heads pop up. You want to get 3 or 4 in with your first laser, and you'll see every time you shoot, you start to drain energy. So you don't want to shoot like way more than you have to hit them. And now you see the last one didn't even pop up, so I was just stuck at 3, and that's that. If you get 3 and 3, that's good too, though. And this is bad RNG. Now that you've gotten all the robot heads, now these giant electric orbs appear. I'm going to wait for 2 of them to appear. That's a really common strategy to make sure that you have enough energy for the 3rd orb, because on 3 out of 3, that's time. You've finished the game, you've defeated Cruella. And because of the fact that this is a 4-cycle Cruella fight, I know where the last orb's going to pop up. Even though they have random movement, they always appear in the same place. So, okay, I didn't actually wait for the second one to appear, but that's fine. If you're running low on energy, you can unshield and only shield when Cruella shoots at you. The last orb is going to pop up to the bottom right of Cruella, and I'm going to move the laser there now. Oh, that one didn't work. All right, well, we're just going to have to do that again. You guys get to see a bonus second run through of Cruella 4. So aim down here. Today I learned that you cannot press X to exit the menu and hold your shield at the same time. There's a little bit of a faster strat you can do where you can actually do this in 3 cycles. Because it turns out if you wait about 1.5 seconds before the robot head appears, or after the robot head appears, it's no longer invincible. So you can keep that in mind, even though I'm not showing it here. So there I got 5 of them, actually. I didn't get that one fast enough. Let's do that again. If you stand behind it, she can't shoot you, luckily. So if I wait for both of these to appear, 1, 2, and then the last one is down here. And you can just start shooting after a little bit and you'll know that you'll hit it as soon as it appears. So that's 3 out of 3, that's time. You've defeated Cruella, and you've done your first all levels out of bounds speedrun. And now you can see Cruella's master plan. She was supposed to throw the puppies into the super gloop to turn them into lifelike toys. But that didn't happen, and it was also just a terrible idea in the first place because who wants green gloopy puppies? Cruella thought that the kids did that, though.
I feel like somebody else should have been put in charge of making the toys at some point.
Yeah, right? Somebody should have been like, alright, you've had some good ideas. Maybe she hasn't had good ideas, but you can tell her she's had some good ideas. Let's have somebody else do this. But no. Of course not.
Let's go find Mom and Dad.
So now you just get the end cutscene. This doesn't count towards time. You can watch it if you want to. But that's the beginner route. And the next thing that I'm going to do, really quick, this shouldn't take super long. I'm going to show some intermediate tricks that you can do. That's before I move on to the All Puppies run. So, these intermediate tricks are ones that you can add. You want to make sure that you're comfortable with crate clip. If you're comfortable with crate clip, you can add these whenever you want to. Some people add them right away. Some people want more out of bounds than what I've shown. And so, you know, even though these are a little bit harder, it's definitely doable to put them in your first runs. It's just that it's going to be like longer until you do your first full run. So just keep that in mind. You are about to see, after this part of the cutscene, you're about to see Cruella covered in gloop. So just keep in mind, this was her plan here. This was her plan here. I'll wait just a second for this cutscene to get to the next part. Here we go. This was her plan for the puppies. And this is what she was going to sell.
Keep us like this? Approximately 20 years, my sweet. Not quite as long as our prison sentences.
So, great toy. She had a great idea there, definitely.
Bestseller, for sure.
Nothing wrong with that here. Okay, let's do some intermediate tricks real quick. Then, I think we're going to have a break, and then we'll do some all puppies. So, the first one that I'm going to talk about, I'm actually not going to do this. I'm going to bring us back to the start of the level. So the first one that I'm going to talk about, it is in Regent's Park. It's actually not super hard to do. It's just that it causes a lot of resets, which is why I didn't put it in the beginner route. This one's called Gate Clip. And actually, this one you don't need to know about crate clip to do. Gate clip, crate clip. This is getting very confusing, isn't it? We're going to clip into this gate right here. That's why it's called Gate Clip. This one's actually a little bit different from the all puppy, or from the I can't talk anymore. It's been an hour and a half. This one's different from the crate clip type clips because we're not going to be clipping out of bounds. We're going to be clipping through a ledge. So basically on the other side of this, there's a loading zone and we can't get there normally. But if you just very barely edge off the side of this, you will clip into the side and hit the loading zone. And then the end is right here. And so you can do it like I just did. This one's this gate clip. You can do it like I just did, where you can jump buffer and then like walk off the side really slow. That's a perfectly valid way to do it. You just have to make sure that you're doing it fast enough that you get there faster than you would using the other method. The other way that we do it is kind of like a YOLO strat. And this is why it causes lots of resets. This is definitely the fastest way of doing this trick, but you kind of have to get a feel for like jumping in the right spot so that you just hit it like that. And I made that look really easy. I actually miss it probably 75% of the time. like 1 out of every 4 runs I start gets through this trick. So that's why it's definitely, I just got it again. Of course I did. I promise this trick is hard. You kind of have to get a feel for like where to jump. It's not like a full jump, it's kind of a partial jump. I should just talk about how awful this trick is every time I want to get it, because that's apparently how to get the trick. But this is what it would look like if you did it optimally. And if you're okay with most of your runs being reset here, yeah, like that. A lot of times you jump past it and just nothing happens. If you're okay with most of your runs being reset here, then you could start working with that one. The next one is, I'm actually going to go out of order. I'm going to show toastbot clip next. This is one of the easier enemy clips that you can do. This one's in museum, so I alluded to this a little bit. If you're in museum and you're doing the 4th task where you're supposed to get the crown, the inbounds route is to go into the dinosaur room and go around. But you can head straight to this room with the goal of clipping out of bounds to get to the 2nd level. You can see the 2nd level up here. That's the goal. The reason that we can is we can use this toastbot right here. And the reason that this one's a little bit easier than other ones is because if you get to the right spot on the tile, it's pretty consistent to get this one. So that's what it looks like. I'm gonna actually kill toastbot really quick. No, stop. What you want to do is you want to walk into the room, and toastbot will see you before you even like see toastbot. Toastbot starts to see you in this area, so you do have to be careful with your movement. But what you want to do is you want to end up on the 3rd tile right here. Let me get the camera at a better angle. You can do it anywhere on like the 2nd half of the tiles, so you can see like this tile has the triangle. Anywhere here usually works. If you're too far this way or too far this way, it doesn't work. Again, I've also noticed a little bit of a difference depending on what console you're on in terms of like if you should be further this way or further this way. Kind of in the middle of this, like at the 75% mark of the tile, I think is the best place to go, because your goal is to get toastbot to push you against the wall. So you can just walk here, and once toastbot has pushed you against the wall, it's as simple as turning around and jumping. Except I didn't get it there. If it doesn't work the first time, first of all, this is why this isn't really a beginner trick, because if you miss it, you start losing time pretty much instantly. But if it doesn't work the first time, you can kind of push up against toastbot to get it back against the wall, and sometimes it'll work the 2nd time. And it'll look like nothing really changed because there's another toastbot up here, but that is the 2nd toastbot. It's not the same toastbot. And then you just roll over here to get to this. So let me show that one more time. Again, you want to be fast about this. But once you're here, you just wait for toastbot to come. And you know it's going to work when it looks like this. That one that I did before was kind of questionable because the camera didn't move out of bounds. This goes back to the same thing I was talking about with crate clip. If the camera moves out of bounds, you're doing great. It's probably going to work. And you just jump and you're up here. So that one is an easier clip that you can do with enemies. I am now going to show you one of the harder ones, and I'm going to go back to Big Ben for that. So like I said, everybody wants to add punching bag clip, just like everybody wants to add penguin clip. Punching bag clip is in the tall room in Big Ben. It's the 4th room out of 5. You can use this punching bag to get out of bounds. The problem is that this punching bag really doesn't like to cooperate with you. The first thing about the punching bag you should know is that 3 barks will kill it. And then you're out of luck because you have no more punching bag. And you need to bark at the punching bag to do the trick. Let me just show you what the goal is first before I start talking about it. You want to bark it against the wall and then turn around, and I didn't even get it there. I barked twice when I only needed to bark once. That's the goal. The problem is that you have to bark at the punching bag. It's easy to accidentally kill it, and the punching bag likes to not cooperate. If you have barked at it twice and you don't want to kill it, you can roll back to this puppy box and come back and it'll be respawned. It won't look any different, but it'll be respawned, and then you can bark at it again. To do the trick, what you have to do, first you want to line up so that you are perfectly, like you and the punching bag and the wall are in a perfect line. Then you want to walk forward and bark at the punching bag so that it gets close to the wall and keep walking through it. And this is why it becomes really complicated, because you have to do this all before the punching bag turns around and hits you again. Once you're there, you see I already kind of turned around. you don't want to turn around too fast because that won't work. And you don't want to turn around too slow because the punching bag will hit you again. So it's kind of like finding that happy medium where the camera comes out of bounds and then it's as simple as jumping, like it is with the other ones. The problem being, of course, it's not that simple at all, because this one's one of those ones that even when you're really confident in your ability to do this trick, sometimes it'll just come out of nowhere and not work. I use the camera a lot to really reposition like the angle, since the angle's so important. You'll also see I'm sitting here and like jumping when it tries to hit me so that I don't lose life. I wait until right after it's done an attack so that it doesn't try to attack right away. And then you just gotta go for it. It's the same thing that you do when you do, whoops, that's not the right one. It's the same thing you do when you do crate clip, it's just that now you have a time limit and an enemy that can die or kill you. The problem with this one is that if you miss it, see there, I didn't get it. And I think I can try one more time, I only did it once. So if you miss it the first time, you can try again. If you miss it a second time, you have to go and respawn it, or otherwise it'll die. Like that. If you miss it even once, it probably at that point is faster for you to just do the inbounds route. That's why you'll see people reset to this a lot, because like missing it and then trying again really doesn't save you time. Oh, okay, I've just made it. It's okay if he hits you, that's fine. Once you're out of bounds, this is also the tricky part. Once you're out of bounds, you have to get to the right place. You have to end up in the room to get to the exit. So the way that I do it, I immediately turn around and just start floating in that direction. So like, the room that we're going for is straight ahead this way. Just keep going this way and you'll get to it. The problem, of course, is that when we do the trick, we're faced like this. So in the out of bounds, immediately after you get out of bounds, you want to turn around and start heading that way. So what I do is I turn around and just start, I turn around, move the camera so that I'm facing forward, and then float that way. That's what I do, so that the camera doesn't mess up my angle at all. Because if you are moving and moving the camera, then you might end up with an angle that isn't quite straight ahead. So let's see that again. And I'll show you guys where you're heading towards. And I fell right off that one. Oops. This is definitely one of the most frustrating tricks to learn. I hear it constantly. I experienced it as well. But I turn around. Oh, never mind. I'd move the camera and the puppy at the same time. I think that's something that I've done with more muscle memory. I don't recommend doing both those things at the same time at first. But this is the room that you're heading towards. And you don't want to go too high or too low because you'll lose track of where the room is. So I usually do one roll. And then the exit's right here. Oh. And in that case, I actually got in bounds a little bit early, which is something that can totally happen. So you want to make sure you're not a little bit early, because the room is directly in front of me and above. Like, this is why a trainer's really useful. Who needs walls, right? So I'm gonna go through this. This is where the exit is, compared to where I just was. So I went back in bounds a little bit too early, and it actually made it so that I couldn't get to the exit very fast. Sometimes it takes a while for you to see the level again after you get out of bounds. Like, you can fall really low, and then you have to wait slowly for the puppy to float. Oh, come on. Oh, or sometimes you just get totally lost and then you can't find where you are and you're just stuck in the void forever, so that's the existential crisis of running 102 Dalmatians.
That sounds like a terrible nightmare, to be honest.
It's okay. If you actually, in reality, if you ever get lost and you don't know where you are, press the roll button once, fall, and you'll end up back at the beginning. Oh, there's the level! Whoa! I found it, guys! But if you're in the void, let me turn the walls back off. If you're in the void and you don't know where you are, don't panic. Just roll so that you're falling and you'll eventually spawn back at the beginning. You will not be lost forever. The next one that I said I was going to talk about is in Lumber Mill. We can just go to the start of the level. This is the fastest strat, is to use this bulldozer to get out of bounds. There's an alternate one that you can do with damage boosting, where you use the tank that's over by the logs to damage boost out. That's another option, but it's not as fast, so I won't be talking about it here. What you want to do is you want to lure this bulldozer so that it follows you straight into the wall, and then you flip it so that it presses you against the wall, and then you get out of bounds. And I made that look easy. This one's a little bit easier than punching bag, actually. The hardest part is knowing exactly when to flip the bulldozer. So if you do it too early or too late, or at the wrong angle, I don't know why that one worked. Okay, it didn't. Good. I was like, this one should not be working. If you do it too early or too late or at the wrong angle, it won't be right. Either like it won't trap you against the wall at all, or it won't push you out of bounds, or nothing happens like that. Basically, the way that I learned it for myself is like, no, I don't want that one. Like you can see there's like texture on the floor. So I picked out a texture about this far from the puppy, and I always made sure to go to the same spot. And like the same spot left to right on the wall. Like, let me just get rid of the bulldozer for now. The way to be consistent at this trick is to always go to the same spot. So like if you start going here, always go here. If you start going more this way, you know, always go to this spot. Because what works best is to pick a spot on the floor and then just like approximately this far from the puppy. Whenever the bulldozer crosses that, that's when you roll. And so that's the cue that you should use to, oops, well, we could have infinite health. That's the cue that you can use to know when you should press the roll button. And depending on your reaction time, it's going to be a little bit before or a little bit after what I just said. Definitely pick what works for you. If you miss the first one, you can still keep going. Sometimes the angle gets a bit off, though. In that case, it did work. But if you're like a little bit too far to the left or right, you might have to correct that. But once you get used to flipping the bulldozer over at the right time, it's the same idea as cray clip. It's the same idea as punching bag clip. And once you're in the out of bounds, this one's a little bit easier, less risk of getting lost in the void. You want to follow this wall here, and you'll see that this is like the whole level that you can see. You just want to follow the wall along the outside of the level. And then eventually you're going to turn to the left. And oh, let me actually roll a little bit so that we can see better. So this is the thinnest part of the level that's right in front of me here. This little corridor right here is the thinnest part of the level. And that's important because we need to get over it. We need to get to the other side because the exit is like over here in the distance. So to do that, what you want to do is you want to make sure you have enough speed, or enough height, sorry. You want to be high enough and then roll straight over it. And so you see I made it. If you don't have enough height, you will get trapped in bounds again, which isn't the end of the world. You can continue the run at that point, just doing the inbounds. But it's, you know, not ideal. You want to get over it and get right here to get to the end. The next thing I said I would talk about is there's a harder version of Barnyard Hens where you... I'm gonna go back. We're gonna pretend like I just talked to Priscilla and she just told us to put the hens in the coop. So she just told us that. We're heading this way. You head over here and you take... Oh, never mind. I have no health in this save state, apparently. That's a problem. That's not a problem, actually. You would go over there, you'd get hit by that bulldozer 3 times. This one's already set up for the death warp, though. I didn't even think about that. This save state's already set up for the death warp, so we only have 1 health. And that's important because what I'm gonna do is get the hens in, and then at the same time that the last hen goes in, I'm going to take the last point of damage. Except I'm gonna do this properly. So hen 1, never mind, hen 1 didn't go in. See, this is what I mean about the hens. Like, sometimes they just say, no, actually, I'm not going to. And now this one's jumping around. Okay, now we've got the last one. I'm gonna bark this one in and then go over here and do this. And you'll hear that the hen cutscene happened at the same time that we were dying. So that saves one of those cutscenes. It's just not recommended for beginners because if you die too early, the last hen won't go in at all and you'll have to go and do it again. So that's not cool. It's not cool when you have to do that. But then you just continue like normal. It's the same as the rest of the level. Oh, Ice Festival Penguin. Ice Festival Penguin. Let's talk about Ice Festival Penguin. The reason that we do Ice Festival Penguin, because... Oh, didn't want to do that. Let's go back to those save states. Oh, we were there for some reason. If I have walls off and I just go through this wall, the exit's right here. So obviously we want to be able to do that in the game. So I'm going to show that again. Ice Festival Penguin clip, I might have actually started too late, uses this penguin to get out of bounds. And it saves like 45 seconds. And you can actually miss it multiple times and still save time in the run because it saves so much time. The problem is that you have like a 3-frame window for doing it. And that was way early. The general idea for what you want to do for Ice Festival Penguin clip is you want to roll forward, jump over the penguin, go to the right spot on the wall, and then jump at the right time so that you damage boost through the wall. And so to break it down into steps, you roll forward, jump over the penguin, and then run to this spot on the wall. It's specifically this spot right in front of the puppy. You can be a little bit this way or a little bit this way, but if you go too far, it won't work at all. So you want to make sure that you are in that spot. Let's get rid of this penguin for a sec. You walk straight into it so that you're perpendicular, turn the camera around, and then very slowly turn the puppy so that you're really close to the wall. And at this point, the penguin's going to slide into you so that you're pressed against the wall. And then that's where it gets complicated because that's where you have to do it on exactly the right, like 3 to 5 frames. It actually depends on your setup. Some setups it's a little bit longer, like 5 frames. And the way that I do it is through a sound cue. So I actually have to have sound when running this game because the penguin laughs. And that one didn't work because I slid off. The penguin laughs, and you want to press jump basically at the... Let me do it again. So you can, like, the penguin goes, ha 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 ha. It's on that last laugh of the first part, because then it starts laughing again. On the last laugh of that first part, the last huh, you want to press the jump button. And if you get it, you'll go through the wall. And you want to be pressing down if that happens. Or right, left, that's the direction. Down or left will get you through the wall then. Now I'm not getting it again, even though I got it once. The best spot to go on the wall kind of depends on your preference and also what system you're on. Dreamcast, I like to go a little bit more to the right. PlayStation and PC, I think you can go a little bit more to the left. But that is what Penguin looks like. And I've just got... What was that?
That one's kind of more like feel it for yourself kind of thing and figure out what works best.
Yeah, definitely. Because once you get like a spot that works for you, going to it every time is going to be like the important thing. I've just got a few more things to talk about. The next one is in Ancient Castle. I said that there's a harder version of the PC clip. Again, the reason that I didn't include this in the beginner one is because it's really easy to just like try it over and over again and not have it work. But instead of, I'm gonna actually back up a sec. You're here, you're going up the steps. You want to, instead of like climbing up there and going to that corner, you want to go to this corner here, and it's the same idea. You want to be perfectly parallel to the wall you're trying to clip through, which is the one on the right, and then you start jumping. But in this case, you have to tap the camera to the right, the right camera button, and you also have to press to move right at the same time in order for this to work. And you want to press the camera button at the top of your jump, the very top, and you also want to be pressing left or pressing right at that same time, because if you don't, you're going to go straight forward and you're going to end up back in bounds. So this one's an easy one to, like, even when you get it right, sometimes you can end up back in bounds and then you're losing time. Once you're out of bounds though, this one's a lot like the one that you do on console. You just want to aim for like the bottom of this right here, and then you can just go. And now you're at the top. And we actually were a little bit too far to the left, so you can aim more right on that one. Then we've got toastbot clip in Mansion. Oh, that's weird. Let's try that again. Okay. In this one, we're going to use this toastbot to get through the wall. And there's an easier version and a harder version. In the harder version, you actually use the toast itself to get out of bounds. But you don't have to worry about that when you're starting out. You just have to get out of bounds in the first place. And so this one's got some kind of like precise movement you gotta do. This one's definitely one of the harder enemy clips that we're doing. Actually, yeah, that was using toast to get out of bounds. But now that you've seen what it looks like, the important thing, you want to stop on this spot on the floor, wait for the toast to hit you, and then press forward. You don't want to be knocked back completely. You have to press forward so that you're not fully knocked back. So let the toast hit you and then press forward. And that was actually a really bad angle, so we're going to do it again. Let the toast hit, press forward, and now we're here. You want to go perfectly perpendicular to the wall, and then if you got the movement like fully correct, then you'll get hit out of bounds by the toast. If you were a little bit not correct, that's fine. Sometimes it'll still work perfectly fine. It's just that you'll have to wait a second for the toast bot to come and push you against the wall. So in this case, I kind of took like a roundabout way to the wall. And this is fine because now the toast bot itself is going to get us out of bounds. And once you're out of bounds, you're heading over in this direction. Oh, that was actually not good because I got back in bounds too early. And just to be clear, it's this square on the floor. So like from when we start, you're going towards this spot here, this square. So you stop here, go over here in a straight line, face the wall, and that one did not work. And that can happen if you're a little bit wrong path, a little bit too far to the side. Any of those things can be problems. This one's it's definitely most consistent to get hit into the floor and then use toastbot to get out of bounds though, so I recommend that. And then I turn around and head. So I turn straight around, and then once you're turned around, you want to head not there. I was going too far left. I keep getting too far left and going back in bounds early is what's happening there. And yes, this is the PlayStation version, but there's also a Dreamcast version and a PC version. And we have people run on all of them. Oh, Toastbot said no. Toastbot, that's rude. Alright, one more time. So you wait for Toastbot to come to the wall, jump up again, turn around, jump out. I am not going to get back in bounds unintentionally this time. So if you keep getting lost or something like that, you can just kind of take it slower. I did it again. I'm used to the Dreamcast version where I can see all these things. I'm just going to get out of bounds with my nice wall hacks. You're aiming for this room here. It's past the room that I keep getting back in bounds at. And it has the exit in it. So I keep getting back in right there. It's just a little bit past it right here. And that's that. One last thing that I'm going to mention, but not like fully demonstrate, is the alternative PC strat for So you know we spent a lot of time on this crate clip, this version of crate clip where you not that's bad. You don't want to clip inside the crate. We spent a lot of time on this one for the console versions. If you're on PC and you feel ready to add some trickier things to your run, ride the crate up and then go back here, and there's a punching bag back here. And so it's the same idea as the one in Big Ben, where you just bark it closer to the wall. In this case, you usually have to bark it twice to get it close enough. Sometimes once is good. And then to respawn it, you just have to go back here. So it's the same deal as what you do with Big Ben. Once you're out of bounds, once you get out of bounds with this punching bag, you want to head sideways. Instead of going straight back, you head sideways. And if you head this way and just keep going along the wall, eventually you'll see it so that you have your bearings, and then you can get to the end. And that is the best PC alternative. Oops, see, I accidentally respawned because I dropped it too low. That's the best PC alternative to that console exclusive wall clip that we have in Toy Factory. And that's it. That's the intermediate tricks if you would like to upgrade your all levels out of bounds run.
Awesome. I know we have another run, but you like all of that was pretty well explained. Like I didn't really have any questions, so thank you so much. Like that was awesome.
Awesome. Mission accomplished. That's great to hear.
With that said, we do have another run coming up, so just a few quick reminders before we take a quick break to get set up for that. Your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and Bitch Cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel do help support GDQ Hotfix, so if you like any of the shows you're watching, if you like these tutorials, if you like horror speedruns, which are coming up next, or any of our other shows, it really does help us if you subscribe. And also, the SGDQ 2023 schedule is out now, so you can go to GamesOnQuick.com or use !SGDQ in chat for more information on that. With that said, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back with All Puppies.